We are now going to learn about ER model. So any database can be modeled as some entities. The entities have certain attributes and relationship among those entities. We are going to cover the following topics. So let us understand what is an entity. Entity is an object that has existence and it is distinguishable from other objects. So an entity might have a physical existence, as in like person, car, employee, what we can see with our eyes. And or otherwise it might have conceptual existence. Company, job, university, course. There is no physical existence for these things. But uh, it is an object and it is distinguishable from other objects. An entity will have certain attributes. So attributes describe the entity. So for example, if I say an employee will have name, SSN, address, sex, birth date, and those attributes will have some values. The attributes will be of a particular type like integer, string, date, and whatever are the allowed values, those are called the domains of the attributes. So domain is nothing but the set of permitted values for the attribute. So employee name will not have any numbers in it. If I take age, I cannot have a possible value as 500. If I take a birth date, I cannot have something like if I take a birth date, I cannot have 1st January 1600 year. So those things are not possible. Um, so there is a set of permitted values for any attribute. So those is that is called the domain of the attribute. The attributes might be either simple or composite. Now, simple has only one value under it, composite has several values under it. It is made up of several components. For example, address. Address is has a street and the city, the state, the code, the pin code. So, it is made up of several components put together. So name might be the first name, middle name, last name. Address might have street. Street might have street number, street name, apartment number. So this such kind of attributes are called composite attributes. Then types of attributes: single valued or multi-valued. So single valued has only one value, otherwise it might be multi-valued. Now multi-valued might have multiple values. See, composite is having parts under it, but multi-valued means multiple values of the same thing. Phone numbers. One person might have many phone numbers. Many colors of the car might be possible. I can define an upper bound on the number of values. That, for example, I might want to record not more than two phone numbers from any person. So I can define how many values do I want to collect. The third kind of attribute is stored attribute and derived attribute. So derived attributes are derived from something that's already stored. If I know the birth date, I can derive the age. Current date minus the birth date will give me the age. So that becomes a derived attribute. If I get to know the joining date, I will understand what is the years of experience of that particular employee in this firm. So the derived attributes can be computed from the stored attribute. There is also a key attribute. Now, key attribute helps to uniquely identify each row in the table. So they are unique values using which I can identify every record. Sometimes a key attribute might be composite, that is, it might have two attributes under it. It may not just be one attribute which helps me to define, but then two attributes will help me to uniquely define every row. So let us say, for example, uh, the registration, and if I'm with the registration number, I'm not able to uniquely identify every car. Then the state will also help me. If the number alone doesn't help me, then the state will also help me. So there might be a 0444, and another car number might read 0444. But if I say Karnataka KA0444, TN04444, so that helps me to identify. So the combination of the number and the state will help me to identify each car uniquely. Sometimes some entities may have more than one key attribute, and like for example, in a university scenario, the register number and the Aadhaar card number might be same, might are the unique keys. So they are called candidate keys. In that case, I choose the student registration number as the primary key, and in that case the Aadhaar number becomes the alternate key. That is, those are other potential keys, but they are not selected as the primary key. If an entity does not have any key, it is called a weak entity type. Now, what are entity types? Entity types are nothing but a collection of entities that have the same attribute. Uh, so, an entity type has a name that is unique across the entire model, and it has a consistent meaning across the modeling team. Entity set. The collection of all entities of a particular entity type is called an entity set. So let us understand this in with the help of a diagram. So an entity is shown in a rectangle. The attributes are shown in ellipses. The primary key is underlined. This is an example of a multi-valued attribute, two ellipses. Dashed ellipse is an example of a derived attribute. A composite attribute has other lines coming from it, which helps me to define the components of the composite attribute.